Meghan McCain is no longer on The View. She's now her own independent political commentator, writing for things like the Daily Mail and going on Meet the Press, which she did this weekend. And on Meet the Press, she said, the Build Back Better agenda is the most progressive modern agenda of all time, up to $5 trillion, which again is not even the number that's being talked about. And it's not polling well. So I think I'm just confused as to why they're doubling down on something that is cratering in the polls right now. Now, bear in mind that Meghan McCain referenced no polls in particular, nor was she asked to cite any by host Chuck Todd, who invited her on the show. In fact, not only did they not question what she said, despite supposedly following the news every day and having a really good grasp of what's true and what's not, they liked that quote so much that they tweeted it out at Meet the Press. I'm not gonna read it again, but it's the full quote that we just read for you. They loved that quote and they attribute it to Meghan McCain. They're so happy to have Meghan McCain on their show. The issue is that what she said isn't remotely true. There are many polls you can look at going literally months back, but we're gonna jump to one from Data for Progress showing 69% overall support for the Build Back Better plan, whatever, the reconciliation bill that includes social spending and things like that. That includes, by the way, 50% of Republicans supporting it. We've got 65% of independent and third party supporting it as well. But it's cratering in the polls, not even not doing well, cratering in the polls. And so this is a criticism that's been out there now for her nonsensical stuff for about a day. We're gonna get to her response to that, but Waz, I wanted to give you a chance to jump in. What do you think of Meghan McCain going rogue, going independent?
I mean, this is par for the course on the Sunday shows. A complete hack person goes on a show hosted by Chuck Todd and is able to spew untruths and lies, because that's the point of those shows, right? And you shouldn't be surprised that when the lies are in favor of corporate power, elite power, entrenched power, of course it gets to slide, right? When it comes to stuff that works, that helps regular people, you're gonna hear Chuck Todd be like, but is it being means tested? Is it gonna be this? Is it, you hear all of the scrutiny when it comes to the arguments in favor of measures that help everyday Americans. But when it comes to the ideas espoused by the elite business and corporate community, it just goes unchecked. Because on those shows, on those platforms, that's the point, is to speak for entrenched power. It's not to speak for normal everyday Americans. It's to speak on behalf of the entrenched power of America. That's the only point of that show. And so I'm not surprised that embellishments and outright lies in support of those people's viewpoints are what gets, all the runtime on Meet the Press.
Yeah, and honestly, I think they must love the fact that she only exists as a political commentator because her father was in politics. Like, it's totally, they love that on some, even if they can't acknowledge it. On some level, they like the idea of an aristocracy of America, like just continue that family stuff. Who cares if she doesn't know anything? Who cares if, like, well, you know what? You can get things wrong. You say a bunch of stuff, you can get it wrong. I did a survey as like a person who covers politics. I was sent this survey, which was what percentage of these different populations support X thing? And I realized as I was answering that I wasn't super sure about some of those. And here's the thing, I wouldn't speak about those things as if I was sure. But that said, if I said that something was cratering in the polls and I was 100% wrong or 69% wrong in this case, the next step is how do you respond to how you were wrong? Because you're gonna get things wrong as a commentator. So here's how she responds. So she is pointed out to her that she was totally wrong. It's not cratering in the polls. And she responds with this: Joe Biden is his agenda. A president's polls mean something. That's the American people aren't happy with how he's governing or his agenda. So the idea there is, it doesn't matter that the policy is popular. If he's not popular, then he is his agenda. So it's cratering because he's got lower than 50% approval. So I'm trying to work through her logic here. If he's unpopular, which by her definition he is, he shouldn't try to pass popular legislation, because as soon as he picks it up as his agenda, it becomes unpopular. So if he were to take something incredibly unpopular that had like 5% approval, would it suddenly get 50 or 47% approval because that's his approval rating? Like what she's saying makes no sense whatsoever when all she had to do was say, I didn't know that. I'm surprised by that result. I still don't like the bill, but I will factor that into my thinking going forward. And we got the exact opposite of that. We got this nonsensical, illogical word salad from her.
Yeah, it's so funny because in an ideal world, right? A politician would be passing things that help the most amount of people, no matter how popular or unpopular it made him, right? He wouldn't be his job wouldn't be to justify his or her own existence. It would be to help people, and so it doesn't matter. People are gonna like this. This is gonna help people's lives. My popularity shouldn't have any bearing on what I do as far as my governance, right? That would be ideally how we do this. But Meghan McCain, her whole, and I think this jargon is outdated. I don't think it's as effective as it used to be when she's like, oh, he shouldn't be trying to buy up votes with this stuff. It's comical. We watch politicians like we just talked about with Kristen Sinema get bought every day, and to her, that's better. That's politics working effectively. But Joe Biden tried to curry favor with actual voters and not just these elite interests with these small amount of people. That's bad. You should never do that. But Kristen Sinema just being bought and paid for in this corrupt cinema, of course that's what you do. That's smart politics.
Of course, well, look, she is going to prove what you're saying because I went on her Twitter. Don't do that, but I did. And one of her most recent tweets was this: Kirsten Sinema appreciation tweet. That's all. Well, sure. I mean, this is what you should hope for. As a Democratic senator, you should hope that your state gives you an 18% approval rating, but John McCain's daughter likes you. That's what you should hope for. And finally, she goes on to say, the bill will cost $0 is the most asinine talking point since I voted for it before I voted against it. The American people aren't stupid. There's nothing in this world for free. Which is true. Things do cost something, which is why Meghan McCain often will criticize the debates over military budgets when they don't go into how they're gonna pay for it enough. She's very frustrated by that because of course military budgets aren't free. Have you ever heard that? Like, how are we gonna pay for this increase to the military budget? Like, never. I guess we can jack up taxes on the rich, or maybe we need a carbon tax. They've never had that conversation because wars are free in America. Bombs are free. Stuff for the middle class, the working class, that's too expensive. We can't even talk about that. Anyway, it's just nonsense. So now she's not just on The View. She's gonna be popping up all over the place. So get used to it, everybody. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, and to the military budget, I brought this up with Cenk yesterday. It was like when we talk about the military budget, people hear military and they think be all you can be, the Marines, like special forces, the SEALs, like Air Force, all these people that we love, right? Like we think they're great. Some of our most competent, civil servants, right, if you will. But guess what? It's not them that this budget goes to. It goes to Raytheon. It goes to Dick Cheney's golfing buddies. And guess what? We don't means test it. We don't say, yo, Raytheon, we're paying you X, Y, and Z billions of dollars for X, Y, and Z. Like, did you deliver? Are these things performing? Are they efficient? Like, can we audit this stuff? Like, we never do that. It just goes unquestioned. But when it's like, all right, a child tax credit, it's like, hold on, man, we need to go through this thing with a fine-tooth comb. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it 100% is. I will close this block by just saying I am seeing breaking news that Pramila Jayapal is saying that a majority of the Progressive Caucus is still set to vote against the bipartisan bill on Thursday if it's not accompanied by the reconciliation bill. We'll see. I don't take anything for granted in American politics. I would love to see it, honestly, at this point, but we will have to check out on Thursday. For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is
so you don't miss anything.